before they're coming. It won't be long now before they're coming. Refer the listener to the final black portion of color, blue, white, vermilion, and that which we cannot think of, neon, homogeneous, homological space. Black is the color of my true love's hair. He was standing in the hotel lobby under a painting of an American flag. Outside in blue neon, the word cinema kept flashing subliminal messages across the scan lines of a black and white closed-circuit television. There was a vermilion sofa inside the velvet glass doors of the hotel. Hologram sofa with one skeleton chain smoking cools with a copy of Barron's Financial Weekly folded across his polyurethane umbrella. It was my second visit to Alphaville. All the images had reversed themselves in the mirror behind the desk clerk's smile. My mission was to find the travel agent whose abducted molecules threatened to destroy all life on the Red Planet. Other life forms had already begun spreading like the Hong Kong flu. A rash of color had depleted the northern zone, and everywhere I was known as a criminal. You see them, and they might have this funny stuff all over them. It's like a veil or something. The genuflections began then. Blurred staccato motion, the blue rayon suits of the runners, prostrating perfunctorily and jogging Seurat fashion into the fusty vestibule where oak predominated. Oak holy water stands, oak fretworked in trellises adorning the peach stucco, massive, flat, unembellished oak portals. At a cue from the Monsignor, these were flung open with the staff of the deity. Inside, a mud-like substance in which the runners sank to their ankles. It would feel like, somebody you don't like, you have to see him every day. Okay, so you can adjust to them, or you can do numbers on them if you have energy for that, or you can just, try to be good. When it ended with my friend, we didn't know that it was over. We'd meet in the bars, have coffee in the afternoon. Parties galore. Saturdays and Sundays, some lapsing into Mondays. They had such precious pictures in their house. Hardwood floors, no roaches, Renoirs, Picassos, Yoko Ono on the door. I thought they were okay, him and his boyfriend. Then I went away and we wrote letters. Such letters, you've never seen such letters, full of I did this and I did that. I went down to the laundromat, I got my clothes so clean. My one regret is that you weren't using the next machine. And I wrote back my simple hello, I'm changing, pay attention, please. We aren't the same people. We don't have the same lives. This isn't a Bergman film. Let's not tell each other lies. You wanted a boyfriend more than you wanted life. You wanted lithographs on the wall. I wanted to be free. I wanted to scream at your chromium furniture. I wanted to laugh in your face, but inside me I was afraid that I'd disgrace you. So I'm back on vacation. Of course I stayed with him. We drank for days and days and days, and things got crazy, and one night in the room his hatred came out full blown, man. He threw me around the room, seemed to make him glad. He split open my skull with a glass, and that was that. But I still have a scar, you can see it from here. A wound of a friendship from ear to ear. Time. There from the time when I was supposedly well. The only difference is that when I was sick I had time to think. And this week I discovered that I have been doing a really hooray for Hollywood, sunshiny money, money Hollywood, where interspecies flesh transactions and bowel impactions go hand in hand with the milieu. Hooray for Hollywood, the hillside strangler may live in your neighborhood. Tomorrow you may find your face, you sit on a starring downtown, a third-rate production of Moliere. Hooray for Hollywood, if you were down and feel misunderstood. You can go fix it with a shot of H or a cardiac pacer, or just blow someone in the john. Hooray for Hollywood, and human garbage like Chicano hoods, where you can pay a greasy pimp a quarter to rape your daughter and sue next morning in Bel Air. Hooray for Hollywood. There was a really kind of warm feeling between us while we were doing it, but now I think that was a very personal, subjective experience of what happened. And then tonight again, I went up in the pavilion of Joseph Cornell. An ancient cartographer had pulled a map of blue and green near the slot machines of the Medicis. Pornographic blue in the dense blue of dreams. Compasses encompass only half of Cornell's dream. Joseph Cornell never saw France or Paris, but his birds or finches in a forgotten game of Montmartre. Parrots enjoy living in his boxes. His is the only pianoforte. In the palace of white, embedded in glass forests full of cork and corkscrew diamonds, where the harlequin lived peacefully among turtles, lizards, and crocodiles, a soup spoon, some jumping jacks, a mystery of blossoming ships with spiders on their mastheads. He lived in a land of geometry and doves, cross infantas, Avignon hotels, ballet and pebble glass, ice-cube diamonds, and soap bubble sets. Provocateur, oh child with nothing but a head, I love you, is to describe this guy. And it would be insulting to say that I don't think other people would find him attractive, but in a very special way, I feel something for him that some days you're going to be sick of music, sick of dining, sick of dancing. The parade's going to stop and nobody knows. Some days bright with fever, trees ignite and stars explode, and no one knows, no one knows. Some days, brow to brow, thick sheets of sludge, slides of melancholy like an old trombone, and scaly animals unnamed, skies embracing endless darkness, endless death and pointless music, sick to death of endless dancing, endless marching, endless dying, sick in Harlem funeral parlors, sick in ochre waiting rooms, at the funeral dancing fever, dancing on the brows of ruined evenings, dancing on the cusps of ruined signs, flying through bleak air into regions of ink, flying in fervor to dead stars, flying in fever to endless dancing. The ballroom never stops, the clock shakes its petals loose, the machine grinds the grind, the trees the way of the star, the bright blue shining brick wall of necessity, the blank wall of ruined lifetimes, the dead wall of blank and shining glass. I went through the charade of ordering books. Well, we no longer pursue destinies that are noble. Instead, we count our fingers for sins, hope our time in the reactor turns out nifty despite the accident. We hope a higher plane exists above our mess. Our Father who art in heaven, putrid in rags and one nation under God, deliver us a thalidomide baby, flippers, nose on forehead, Alexia and all. Pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. I don't know if he thought of me as anything other than a pain in the ass, because if I was working at a bookstore and this sort of bovine customer who happens to constantly be buying linguistic texts and philosophy books, keep stuttering and making moo-cow eyes at me. I think I'd be annoyed rather than flattered, but Gloria sad cold soup, Gloria in excelsis Deo, Te Deum, marvelous fan, how did I meet you? What year, what bar, what spangled ghetto? Why are you so? How do you make your mouth go, and your eyes, with the glitter Ritz and Norman O'Brown? Long fingers paling, why do I know you, or do I? And what's the name? What skies are these? What lives? And getting you on the phone. Your echo is full of humidity, and when I contemplate that coast below us both with its drizzle, its flashing lights, both night and day, I remember the blind baby in the ambulator. He put his hand through the soft tissue, felt the night of embryonic fluid, you with your Fiat sedan and your boredom of sen under cover of dotted I's, crossed T's, reasons for living lined up like dominoes. Remember the last lost chance, port and a flu, and that season lost like when we were young trying to exhaust things. Old pH balanced shampoos causing cancer, vitamin A and B complex vitamins causing cancer also. Loving those we exhaust as if we ourselves lay bleeding and pierced by arrows on the ornaments of pricey cars. I remember you when I was wearing fewer clothes than I am now. Prior to this lassitude, a low-pressure system traveling, a belt of suns, an area of rains, an acre of suspicious storm. Why, I'm not like the foyer of the Grand Hotel, beautiful and vacant, draped in velvet. Why, I'm the type thrown from helicopters by aerialist lovers who have had enough. Why, my face is all wrong. Why, my clothes are recherche, and my mind is like a bruised pea, delicious and bitter, promising botulism and indigestion to the unwary swallower. White explosions, too, that you go spread out on somebody else's lap, or a study group of some kind, but the pleasure of reading is really a very solitary pleasure, like masturbation. I don't connect the two things in any other way, but I'm losing the thread. I'm trying to say why I like this man, and without feeling like a freak, because I know that my feelings about him aren't merited by anything other than his presence. Their eyes were ablaze, the eyes in the storms off the coast of Maine, 64, 65, done in by demoralizing heat lightning. And not only their eyes burned in that fire that consumed half a coast, also their lips were gingerly burning, the span of their hands stretched over the night. Impossible piano chords, span of plate glass, midnight tunes of exhaustion played in a penny arcade of serious sex, mixed marriages on the downtrodden coast, sighs that rippled like tears, like the muscles of no New West. And the splayed jaws of the butchered monkeys, boy made of mucus, sold in Carlot, chain boy punctured with fish hooks, film critic and auto death mauled by airborne squid, sea death, Indio, off the coast, Ivory Coast, black mass for worm-like celebrants, and hear the sea boy pumping iron into mollusk forms, smiles trance and fevered. Nets lie along the chalk walls, pomaded elephants pass, they do not know you. They do not know you. Eyes with their eyes ablaze, see nothing but fake pallor of frozen sands, and the sea of flames, the hands signaling like semaphores, the false stars and true constellations, the cries of the boiled metallic strand, the waves of Indio, waves colored like the first bright waves of Lumiere. Quote, reason, unquote, to know or to... Life is too short to carry a grudge. No grudge is grandiose enough for the times we live in anyway, which call for real vindictiveness. I'm a punk in your mainstream, no longer qualified to key punch, no earth designation, no square county wide enough to fill a map with adequate prescriptions. I'll come on your black as night highway. I came when a rattlesnake greeted my evanescent form in Tucson. I came when the Pacific waved in the utter of the canyon. I come quickly. I come in the magnetic wilderness. I don't know a single thing. Facts elude me. Sex escapes me. I see the eyebrow quarry, the ellipsis, the storm, the furrow, the closure, the cynosure, the mandarins, the waves, the dark bowels, the forgive-me's, the love-me's, the forgive-me's, the wanna-be's, stay with me, be with me, end with me. See death. I don't know these people. One would have to go. Proper heirs of proper myths, and the leather headhunters, the inner legions, black sun and black moon, spinning in black space, short stay, another country, Mexican embraces at dawn before a blazing oil fire, beaches thick with copulating insects, eating their mates and hamburgers, eating their taco-bells, yellow dawn, worshipping a third world mysteriously free, land of gnomes and celebrities, deathless, the local god, the brief death in the sunburned skin, drinking an alien lanais and parched breakfast nooks, celebrated coronary of Scott Fitzgerald, bright death of Raymond Chandler, death riding a penis to peritonitis, death in the umbrella fist, chain mail to Bontier of super starlets and super gangsters, death in the splayed rat-infested palms, rattler in the woodpile, black widows in the jacarandas, death gazing back from sunglasses, Chevys, their gleaming cranial emptiness, the obsessed of Malibu, worshipping a third world, like a room prepared for love, the gleaming emptiness, joy-crazed addicts of Topanga, and the pink Cadillac homeliness of Bev Hills, shattered city of bleeding circuits, bodies tossed from on-ramps, feeding on its death-like country of closed eyes, sleeping on the desert, another country, blind baby in the incubator, awash in a sea of leaves, lively ragged old baby, just want to talk to you. Just want to hear you. So I have, but no one stays awake for the storm before you have this and that and that and this to think about, recall what life was like. No one cries because there are rainbows and no rainbows, no dollar bills, nobody cries, nobody has the number, nobody knows the area code, nobody sees the sea bright and empty, gleaming like a wash day miracle, distillation of heady chemicals like cheap wine in cheap bottles, labels adorned with exotic fruit, broken hologram beneath the glass, deceased beneath fluorescent lights, alien artifact, also but never belonged to a world not only you never made, tasteless garters, lover of damp combs, fashion, sinister, hibiscus, wandering tooth and nail through realms of life, real and awful and prosaic, however poetry, in youth of flesh, in the dawn, struck down, absinthe, the by blinded down, line A, four fall, girls, young, way, the fallen camembert ventilated, like freshly deaf and crumbling and compressed his lips, eater always, careless, vicious swaz, fatal, display case, fatal, lungs full of my lover dead, in the display case, eater, death, ventilated, way young girls blinded down in the flesh of youth, however prosaic and awful in real life, peeled by appropriate mandarins and jewel-encrusted, as well as skin of peaches, bruised, sporeless, wonders observant Sandra Botticelli wanted anemic as Madonna's by Rossetti, amorous corpse dances, dances for like firm jewel of his own tooth, raven-haired eyes like those of a sword swallower, lips parted as if to quote, marred like anthropophagi in a crypt of higher education, mind and organs, perfunctory trumpeting loads, madness and light perversion, shielded by his tuxedo in the shower curtain, masked as if for an excessively degenerate cabaret. He sings his navel a diadem, his thighs erect as a possibility, his lips like those of William Burroughs, his habit no less severe for all that it is that of eating cake, and his hair confabulated from marzipan, and the eyes limpid, suggestive, and darting from room to vacant room, scanning the one or two lines everyone remembers, the faces we have all seen and well beloved, the amorous corpse singing and dancing, waves that stop after half his cane, and mind spread a stare as the bandages come flying off. Between me and them, there's this kind of shame at having failed in love. It's such a ladies' home journal sort of phrase to use. And then there was another time, not long before that, we were traveling. We were in London, and Freddie Zentner, who was a Czech Jew who was repatriated before the war, his whole family was killed in a concentration camp, still runs a bookshop, the Cinema Bookstore on Great Russell Street, and it's the most extensive cinema bookstore besides Larry Edmunds, and one of the people who worked there was from LA and had worked at Larry Edmunds and Cinemabilia in New York as well. to the British Museum and looking at all the fabulous timepieces and devices for measuring time that they've collected there. Astrolabs and you name it. I mean, they have everything, every conceivable kind of thing, all encrusted with emeralds and gifts from, to Sir Walter Raleigh from Queen Elizabeth, and every conceivable kind of jewel-like clock to tell the time with. And then I remember thinking then about the riots that the farmers in Europe had during the Middle Ages when the calendar was changed from the Gregorian calendar to the Julian calendar, or from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. I can't remember which it was, because they were missing 11 days, and there were riots for a couple of years because of the missing 11 days in the calendar. And yet it would be an extraordinary indulgence to ask of someone to listen to the outpourings of someone who and then again, it wouldn't be such an extraordinary indulgence if that person was, just hit by an ambulance or something like that. The discourse weaving in and out of and I don't know, I want to do something by another favorite poet of mine, Maureen Tucker, who used to play drums with the Velvet Underground, called After Hours. I'm going to do it just the way she does it, but not as good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. If you close the door, the night could last forever. Leave the sun shine out and say hello to never. Oh, the people are dancing and they're having such fun. I wish it could happen to me. But if you close the door, I'd never have to see the day again. Dark party bars, shiny Cadillac cars, and the people on subways and trains, looking gray in the rain as they stand disarranged. Oh, but people look well in the dark. So if you close the door, the night could last forever. Leave the wine glass out and drink a toast to never. Oh, someday I know someone will look into my eyes and say, hello, you're my very special one. But if you close the door, I'll never have to see that day again. Oh no, I'll never have to see that day again. Diane Wachowski has a poem called I've Learned to Live with My Face. Maybe I should write one called I've Learned to Live with My Voice. I think that you're a beautiful person. I said before, he looks like a schlep. Sometimes he looks like a schlep, but he doesn't really look like a schlep. He's beautiful. He's very, very beautiful. I don't know how to end this.
At the dome, the time will be